Alrighty, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Much appreciated for your patience. It looks like we're getting ready to go here. Yeah, and some of these songs you may love, and you may hear them casually in the soundtrack and be like, this song's amazing. I love it. And then you see some of our runners do it, and then you're like, oh, we didn't even get to the good part this time, unfortunately. One instance for that, for me, is always after our runners get dash. And there's that tune that plays between after you get dash and before you get to the Robo Factory. That song's great, and it just starts to get good when it just starts to get good when we go through the door transition. We activate the other scene or the other chapter. Alrighty, so it's looking like they're good to go. I'm gonna get them off and running so we can get this started. All right. So, joining me today on commentary, and I apologize if I butcher this, is it Eshma?
It sounds good enough.
Okay. I was hoping it wasn't too terrible. Thank you for joining me. I know you're fairly new to the run and the gameplay. I believe you've been putting down some runs of your own or practicing behind the scenes. How's that been going for you?
Oh, well, I definitely noticed that the game is, way harder if you're trying to get a run in yourself than just watching other people do it. So I am doubly excited to be actually here and commentating of the runs of some very good runners of this game. They've been putting in a lot of work on their runs. Both of our upcoming runners here have times with just a little bit over 1 hour, with ThaDJ being a little bit ahead of Dyanketo. So I am excited to see who of those two guys will actually pull ahead in this race.
Awesome. And I always appreciate having an extra body in here. It puts a little less pressure on me, so thank you for that. As we know, and as Turkey has basically famously said every race, this is a race of two halves. We have the portion of the game where our runners will be running normally, and then we have the portion of the game where our runners will be dashing. So you're basically going to see them starting off doing a lot of normal running movement. They're going to be trying to get a little extra oomph, if you will, off of each ledge. You can do a kick right near the edge of the ledge, and you can gain between 1 to 3 frames. You'll see this little kick animation. So that's kind of the name of the game for behind the scenes time saves. And other than that, Chapter 1 is just a stage of cycles.
Yeah, it really lulls you into a little bit of safety right at the beginning, telling you, this one isn't gonna be so bad, before it basically sweeps the rug from under your feet in the later chapters and makes you, really earn those time saves and those cycles and whatnot that is coming up. So, yeah. The run is having a bit of a easy cushion here right at the beginning, just walking through the first chapter, having a little, dropping down the platforms there. Saves a couple of seconds. I mean, we've seen that in other games as well.
Oh.
And there seems to be a little bit of a problem with the DJ over there.
Yeah, we've got... Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. All right. Okay.
Technology
Still
happens.
in the race.
That's okay.
But apparently he is a little bit behind Dyanketo at the moment there. So let's maybe take this moment to quickly talk about the runners coming up here. We are in the last match of the first run in the losers bracket. So both our runners here have lost against somebody else in the tournament. ThaDJ having lost against our world record holder, the Turkey, in the third round, and Dyanketo actually losing against the big K1 right in the first match of the first round. So he's also behind the DJ with about a PB of 7 minutes. So I guess it's interesting to see how this will, affect him during the course of the game here.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, our runners can be thinking ahead, but if you're anything like me, you're maybe not thinking so much ahead that you're thinking of the next race, because there's so much left in this one that you need to be scared of.
I mean, like I said, this game is deceptively hard, especially later on, where one death can just, put you back a lot of screens, making that a big time loss. Not so much at the beginning of the game, but definitely in the later chapters.
Saw DJ just executed a very nice ledge clip there. So if you are playing at 60 FPS, you could have the benefit of ledge clips. So at the very top of your jump, if you basically, just as you start your descent, push towards a ledge, you can clip up on top of it. It doesn't actually work for all ledges. Like, it doesn't work for solid things like you see our players running on right now, but it works on platforms that you can drop through, essentially, is the easy way to tell if you can do it. So you'll see our runners take advantage of that if they're playing at 60 FPS. If you're playing at anything higher, then you get the small benefit of faster slashes, which comes, of course, in handy for all of the boss fights and whatnot.
Dyanketo just got a little bit bullied by the rust flies over there, then decided to do a quick save and quit of the game to regain his health at the checkpoint, which actually now puts him behind the DJ. Oh, and he actually fell down in the last climb of Chapter 1, so that's already a big time loss there that puts him, quite a bit behind the DJ. But now both runners slowly approaching the last boss of the first chapter. So let's see the DJ mercilessly fighting Apparator over at the side. Going for the strategy where you basically walk into, just before his hitbox to get all of his slashes and before he dashes to the other side. And that was a pretty fast and good fight from the DJ. So let's see how Dyanketo actually does. He actually opts to go for the same strategy. Didn't get in as many hits, so... Oh no. I just missed the jump slash over there. Oh. But I think if I counted that right, both players took about roughly the same time to get this boss down.
Yeah, Apparator had 2 health left at the peak of his jump on both sides, so basically the same fight. DJ got a little bit more in early on, but I think lost it after the second damage boost, where Dyan's got a few more slashes in post-second damage boost, but it all basically shakes out, and they're on to Chapter 2.
Yeah, Chapter 2, if I can speak from personal experience, is maybe one of my least favorite chapters, simply because of all these rust flies in the place who are just, they can kill you very quickly if you're not up to your game there, because they will just home in on you from all directions, especially the smaller rust flies, and they can make your life a living hell sometimes.
Are you playing on console or PC?
I'm playing on console, so we haven't had the patch yet. I have heard that the PC players have gotten a patch where some of these rust flies were patched out. Now, let me tell you, I cannot wait for that to hit console.
Me too. I'm a PS4 player myself, as is Dyan, so Dyan has to share our pain of the additional rust flies. I believe, and I'd have to double check, I'm not sure what DJ's on, to be honest. I'd say that I would try and remember, but at this point, the board has so many runners and so many different active bodies that I can't recall off the top of my head who plays on what most of the time.
The leaderboard says that the DJ is playing on PC, actually.
Okay, I thought so. So yeah, Dyan's going to have basically a little bit of a harder Chapter 2 as a result. Nothing that's like too egregious. It's just unfortunately more flies in the auto-scrolling elevator.
The DJ now coming up on Laser Brain, which is actually a pretty interesting boss. My god, what am I saying? Because he's actually the only boss so far that we know that has an actual weak point. Because if you manage to hit this glowing orb right at the center of him, you actually deal double damage to him, which is why our runners are going to go ahead and grab the Blade Extend at the checkpoint before it to make hitting that weak spot just a little bit easier on them.
One note too, the room post Laser Brain has one fly that's missing in the new patch, but is still there in Dyan's side. It's the immediate one, basically, once he exits the door and heads to the right, it's going to be sitting on a platform there, so keep an eye out for it. It wasn't there for DJ, but it's kind of like one of the only ones notable outside of the elevator that's still there. That guy right there.
Speaking of the elevator, the DJ now in the first auto-scroller of the game, the elevator, right? And the DJ, Dyanketo, sorry, just coming up onto it as well, so we can estimate, maybe there's about a 20-second difference so far, I want to say, maybe a little bit more. But,
yeah, it's a little hard to tell, only because there was the issue with DJ's feed early on that possibly could have desynced things as well.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to kind of have to just fly by night and call it as we see it best we can. But to answer the question in chat, or I guess to comment on that in regards to, oh no, Diane, no. So we talked about those extra rust flies in the elevator, and it happened.
Yeah, that is brutal.
Oh my.
And can just be nerves, in a race when you know that you're maybe up against somebody who is a little bit higher on leaderboards than you, and it's an elimination round. The nerves can just get to you sometimes. Especially
I still
if
get
it's
nervous restreaming, and I'm not even participating in the races. So I mean, everyone has the right to feel nervous here in terms of participating in this race, because nerves can be a good thing, but at the same time, they can also rock your boat a little too much.
I mean, that's basically the thing that I first thought when I started speedrunning the game, was that, this looks really easy if you watch somebody who is high up on the leaderboards play this game, and then you jump in yourself and you very quickly notice, this is hard. This is really, really hard. So big props to everyone who gets through this run.
Yeah, for reference, the speedrun trophy or achievement in the game is finishing in less than 3 hours. So when you think about the fact that we've got, I think, almost 10 people on the board now that are sub-hour, and I know I've got a couple that are in queue for verification, and, we have people pushing a time of, Turkey's got a 53 waiting verification, multiple people have like 55, 6, 7, 8, 9, like, that's phenomenal. This game and this run grew very quickly. And speaking of feats, DJ with the rise to the challenge? I think that was. That's great.
Yeah, probably running on a new profile. But yeah, it always is kind of interesting to see if you look at like achievements and trophies like that, where the developers, expects you to finish this game in a certain time, and then the quote unquote actual speedrunners get a hold of it and just absolutely demolish that estimate. That's always nice to see. But yeah, Dyanketo now coming up on Scrambler, the final boss of the second chapter here. Now, Scrambler is actually, I guess, a pretty easy fight, because he will always do the same attacks in the same order, basically being a cycle-based fight, as long as you stay close to him. And since we want to deal maximum damage to him, we will of course do that, so we know exactly what he will do when he does it, which means we can basically, bully him to death pretty quickly. And there he goes.
Pretty rare, and I don't know that you're necessarily going to see it in any of our races, but every once in a while the Scrambler can be a troll, and he may have done this to you in your casual playthrough, but if there's any trash piles left over when you destroy the bigger Scrambler and he turns into the little dude, when he lands on those trash piles, he then doesn't destroy them, and that completely throws off your pattern recognition, because you're just so used to running underneath him and then back and forth and whatnot. The second he lands on a trash pile and it changes his trajectory, like where he lands, where the shot goes, and then it's wonky. But yeah, it can definitely happen.
I can for sure say that I've never seen that. And that is like, the thing with this game too, is like there are so many little things and details that you may just not notice or not see if you're just playing it casually or once or twice. But then you watch more speedruns, watch other people play this, and there are so little many things that you can still pick up on. It's great. It's really unexpected from a game like this.
And there's still lots of new strats that are being developed. Like, it may have been a fast growth period, but it's, I would say, far from over. You're still seeing new boss strats. You're still seeing ways that you can shave seconds off of rooms. The really neat part, I think, is that there's a lot of flexibility in the run, and the fact that you can tackle any number of rooms any number of different ways, and it may be almost equally as fast. So you have a lot of preference, and you have a lot of different rooms that you can kind of pick and choose. Yeah, I want to go for that, or maybe I don't feel comfortable going for that, but I can do this modified version, which is only like a second slower. It's very much a game of pick your battles and kind of layering your strats.
I mean, just looking at these two runners, like, while most of the things that they are doing are probably the same, you can pick up on some, different strategies for some of the rooms that both runners are going for, like waiting for a cycle or dodging underneath an enemy while another jumps over it and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see, like, side by side like this. The DJ now being up against the Hunter tank, which is the mid-boss of the third chapter. It's basically, try to kill him as fast as possible by hitting its weak spot while you're dodging all these crazy projectiles flying around. The DJ taking a lot of damage, but luckily the boss actually drops a health extension, which basically refilled all of your health, so he is good to go for the second half of the third chapter here.
I was just mad they didn't get the small SP while the tank was exploding. I'm like, grab it. It's right there. It's like, you can use it.
I mean, to be fair, in that fight, I always think that there's just so much visual clutter going on with all these projectiles and explosions going on that you may really just miss out on something like that.
Oh, totally. It's like, it's the perfectionist and like the completionist in me that was just like, you're not going to lose anything by grabbing it, so do it. Unfortunately, taking the star there.
Sadly, not getting the shuriken throw on these flying enemies here, so that makes this room always a little bit sketchy, because these flying enemies shoot out mines to the left and right side of them, and they can totally hit you in the air and make you fall into one of these flaming pits, which means you go right back to the checkpoint before the hunter tank fight. Now, luckily, the boss stays dead, but that's still a pretty big time loss if that happens.
I'm honestly shocked it didn't happen. Props to DJ for having the guts to just hold right and jump through the projectiles from that enemy, and then it threaded the needle. It was great. Like,
for sure. Like, that is the thing that I have started to embrace in this speedrun, is like, trust in the cycles. You know, if you are always going at a certain speed in certain screens, you will always make certain cycles, and you just have to trust in that. You know, jump into these projectiles and slash away or whatever you have to do, but it will work out if you get the cycle. Dyanketo actually not going for the shuriken throw at all. So let's see how he proceeds to go through this room. Oh, he missed the second one. Cleverly using a rising fire to get rid of the second flyer enemy there, so he doesn't get hit into the pit there. While we now are on the Biohunter fight on the DJ side, he grabs the swag blade, which is like a bladed yo-yo that circles around our protagonist here, and you can use your weapons and also your abilities to make that go off in all kinds of directions, which you can actually use to hit Biohunter while it's still in the air, making this a very fast fight if you also use some rising fires at the end of it. And that was pretty much a flawless fight against the Biohunter from the DJ over there. While Dyanketo has a little bit of trouble getting the shuriken off, or rather hitting that switch to go to the higher level there.
It's worth noting with DJ's Biohunter fight, the Biohunter didn't even get to touch down on the ground after coming over to the left-hand side of the screen. So that was an incredibly fast first phase, and then didn't leave center for phase 2. So, like, by the books, I don't know you could do it any faster. I love seeing these feats pop, though. That's hilarious.
It's a neat little trick from the DJ over there. If you have the swag blade going into this cavern, you can actually make it so that the swag blade hits the dynamite at the higher top there. This is why you saw the screen flash white. And that makes it so that after going to the dojo right here, he can actually escape the cave a little bit faster once you get out of it. It seems Dyanketo is having a little bit more trouble with Biohunter over there, but still, that was a pretty good fight of him. Also now getting through the fight, still having the swag blade for the same techniques that we saw the DJ do. Speaking of which, he is now doing the climb against the monkey, which, we've seen the swag blade help us out against Biohunter, and having destroy the dynamite for us a little bit faster, as I just explained earlier. But the swag blade also makes the climb with the monkey a little bit harder, because we actually want to use some of these lanterns and the boxes that are littered around the tower there to, climb that a little bit faster. However, the swag blade has the habit of destroying these things in front of us. So you really just gotta manage where that swag blade is in comparison to all these destroyable objects to still make this a fast climb. And the DJ, basically did it pretty good.
Yeah, Dyan opted out. There was a patch, basically a quality of life patch that PC players have right now that console players don't, which is essentially that the swag blade doesn't destroy the lanterns. It still destroys the boxes, but it doesn't destroy the lanterns for the PC players, where Dyan would have to deal with it destroying both. So he actually just took a damage boost and said, nope, I'm okay without this.
Really?
Yep.
Well, the more you talk about this patch, the more I really wanted it.
Yep, it's great. For those wondering too, and I mean this was kind of mentioned in chat earlier, you know, in regards to console and why hasn't console gotten patched and the big differences. Like another big difference is DJ can parry during iframes. Dyan and current console players, unfortunately, we can't parry when we're in iframes. It's frustrating because your first thing to do when you get hit is to panic and try to do that. No, not right now. For those wondering, basically, it's more so because the flexibility of PC and Steam versus console verification process of patches, without going too far into the details of it and taking away from the race, essentially, Mecha can basically push anything to Steam ASAP and we all get to enjoy it immediately, where consoles, they actually have to have somebody on their side verify the contents of the patch, but not only verify the contents of the patch, but play the remainder of the game to make sure that everything else is completely fine, nothing else has been changed, etc. So essentially, it's the vetting process of the consoles that delays the patches being in sync. What ended up happening is it just got so far ahead with PC receiving 2 patches and console not, that Mecha said 1.04 is when we're all going to match up. I'm going to roll it out simultaneously, and then everyone's going to be good to go. So basically, once PC was that far ahead, Mecha just abandoned the effort to push those patches out to the consoles because, again, this lengthy process. So, the more you know.
Yeah, both runners now up to Chapter 4 of the reactor, and this is basically the point in the run where the game is starting to take the trailing wheels off, right? There are a lot of very nasty rooms in this chapter of the game where you really have to start pushing all the abilities that you have acquired so far to make it through this really nice and smooth, or at least try to. And there's a really nice trick that I think in the first 2 rooms of the reactor where you try to, you know, airstrike onto some enemies and then throw the shuriken to hit the switches at the far end of the room without having to actually go there. And I think both runners actually got this. That is always nice to see because, you know, there's a very small window that you have to hit to make that happen. And the DJ now coming up to the most, well, brutal section, I guess, in this run is where you drop down between all these spiked pits. And you can basically only make this cycle between these orbiting flying enemies there if you basically have a perfect run through this particular room. So you really have to know, okay, did you go through the room at the right time? Did you hit any obstacles or not? And if you didn't, well, you can go for it. But it's still scary because if you do happen to hit the spikes, it's an instant death and it will set you back ways in the chapter.
Yeah, Chapter 4 is definitely the moment when they said, all right, we're going to take all of those instant death spikes, or I guess in the last stage there was instant death fire, and we're just going to put a lot more of it across the entire stage. We're going to plaster that over ceilings, walls, etc., and have fun.
And fun we do have. Sometimes a little bit. But yeah, both runners getting through this mostly okay. Dyanketo still doing a little mistakes here and there that continuously start to cost him a bit of time there. I think the difference between both of them is starting to grow continuously. So I'm excited to see if Mecha Dragon might be the big equalizer coming up here, because let's face it, that boss can be, you know, a bit brutal and RNG heavy sometimes for some of us. I've definitely never had to do a 6 cycle against him. No, never. Never ever. Well, maybe I did. But yeah, the DJ now coming up onto Mega Dragon. He is grabbing a Charge Blaster before the fight, which will not only help us getting through these, or making those platforms for us, but also in the fight against Mega Dragons. So let's see how the first phase goes on here. Now opting to go underneath the platform and doing some Rising Fires. Now he didn't get in as much damage as he would have liked, because you could completely deplete the first health bar of Mecha Dragon with proper spacing and whatnot. But it seems like he will get a very good 3 cycle on Mecha Dragon, so fingers crossed that he actually does get it.
You called it early, so that was bold. Let's see what happens.
No.
Platforms. Oh,
I have. Yeah, there we go. Called it.
Yeah, that's really a
Nothing
fight
bad.
of so many different elements. You're dealing with the RNG platforms. You're dealing with trying to charge the blaster because it has 3 different levels of attack. You're dealing with trying to restore your SP that you're using the Rising Fire while not firing to restore that blaster. So it's kind of... you're managing so many different things, and then you have to deal with the fact that Mecha Dragon just shows up on the left or right on a whim. So there's still that 50-50 element that comes down to it.
Yeah, I can really just mess with you if he comes up on a side where there are just no platforms and you basically have no way of hitting him other than with the Charge Blaster shot or maybe a Shuriken. But yeah, it can be a bit heartbreaking sometimes if you cannot manage your platforms properly.
We're gonna get a little bit of a high five here. In the Mecha Dragon room, very likely. Maybe, no. Yeah, Dine's gonna make it in.
will
It's gonna
happen,
be in
yeah.
the room.
One is going in, one is going out. So, fingers crossed for Dyanketo. See how his Mecha Dragon fight will go as he gets into the middle of the room. He also... Oh no, he actually stays in the middle of the room. He is not going to one end of it.
Yeah, I like that strat myself because then you keep the right-hand platforms for later use, and you can kind of... You can base your second cycle on those platforms. Unless, of course, that happens. Oh, very nice. He decided to pop up on the friendly side.
Yeah, I think that probably every runner like has his own starting position for Mecha Dragon. Like some runners decide to go to the far right of the stage to start the fight. Some do it at the far left. Some in the middle. Some somewhere in between. It's like, you know, an all-you-can-eat strategy buffet for that fight. Whereas most of the other boss fights are pretty cut and dry at some points, at least from a starting position point. But yeah, Dyanketo also getting a nice 3 cycle on that fight, so GG's for him. While ThaDJ is already at the end boss of the 4th chapter, having a nice vessel defense system fight there. That was basically flawlessly executed, if I saw that right.
Yeah, it's damageless. Still has 2 extra hits on the E field. It's going to be able to take into the next stage and attempt the skip or even potentially the second skip.
Yeah, the thing is, our runners want to bring either the Charge Blaster or the E-Field into Chapter 5 because it will allow them to basically skip about 40 seconds of another room they would have to go through because the Charge Blaster and the E-Field can actually hit a switch through a door, so we don't actually have to go the intended way and skip that whole section of the game. So fingers crossed that our runners will be able to bring either the Charge Blaster or the E-Field to that section of the chapter there.
The E-Field makes this a little bit more friendly because DJ just got equipped with the parry. So essentially it works by pressing towards a projectile. I use the term projectile loosely because there's a lot of things that you can parry that you probably wouldn't think you could. Diane opting not to stop and refill that blaster, so very likely going to opt into the E-Field too. But yeah, essentially the E-Field will not only protect you from those projectiles, but it'll also throw that little crescent slash which destroys projectiles as well. So DJ stopping for a moment to parry that to avoid the hit, very wise.
This might actually be a good time to quickly talk about Essence, because you've seen our runners pick up these, well, orange, yellowish pickups that the enemies drop and some of the lanterns and whatnot. And that is basically currency that you can pick up during the run. And what that allows you to do is at these checkpoints, you can buy different things. You can buy a HP refill, an SP refill, and different sub-weapons that you can pick up. And they're basically, you know, set per checkpoint, so you cannot decide what you want to buy. There is ever only that one sub-weapon at that one checkpoint. So you really have to plan ahead what you want to buy because, you know, Essence is, of course, limited. You can't just go willy-nilly on your purchases over there. And there are no Charge Blasters or E-Fields in Chapter 5 that you could buy. So if they actually lose their E-Field while going there, they will not be able to repurchase it and would have to go the intended way, which would lose them about 20 seconds for the first skip, I think, and another 20 for the second. Oh, it's a bit less on the second one, I think. It's a bit more on the first one.
Yeah, it's more like 25 to 30 for the first. And I think because the other one, because skip number 2, basically you're seeing DJ do it here, they're going to lose a little bit of time to the squeeze, basically, if you want to put a phrase to it. Alpha freaking out here is going to take you down to 1 health and throw you against the wall. If you're going to maintain this E field to do the next skip, then essentially you have to lose a little bit of time getting the squeeze and make up more, hopefully, by getting the skip successfully. E field is easier to do the second skip with because you can do it pre-Alpha 2. It's maybe a little bit tougher in the sense that the Alpha 1 fight, which primarily consists of parries, then gets thrown off by the E field because you're obviously trying to parry those bullets, not block them. So it's kind of like, it comes down to runner preference for sure. You see both the runners working with the E field here. And I would say probably the E field is more common, even just based on the fact that you can buy it right before Vessel Defense and you don't have to carry it through that entire treacherous section post Mecha Dragon with the spinning things in the water, and it's just...
I mean, it is only one screen in Chapter 4, but it is a very hard screen to get through damage list, for sure.
I used to do what was called, I just refer to them as bath strats, and just it's a little bit slower, but go in the water and go like under the projectiles and under the orbs, and it's safe.
I mean, it makes sense. Now, the DJ is probably, breathing a sigh of relief that he got the first skip, because that is definitely the one that you want to go for, as we just explained. However, he still has the E field going out of the first Alpha fight, so he has a good chance of also getting the second skip if he can make it through this very treacherous passage that he is now going through.
See if he's going to get chased by Orby.
Here he comes.
Oh no, he got caught up a little bit. Hey, there we go.
He made it, okay. Yeah, big friend Orby. He can chase you if he wants to through this whole section here. Well, not the whole thing, but a good deal of it. But yeah, it can be harrowing a bit, especially if you only have 1 hit left on the E field or the Charge Blaster.
You say that to Space Narc, because Space Narc got taken out by Orby just as he touched the left-hand wall and was going to start climbing up. Like, the orb went the full distance. Like, I had never seen it before either. And it killed him just as he started climbing that wall. It was rough.
The DJ just getting the second skip as well, while Dyanketo also got the first skip. So, not a time loss, but also not a time save against the runners for both of them so far. So, let's see if Dyanketo can get the second skip as well.
So DJ actually slashed the eye a little too quickly there and is now kind of in a little bit of a danger zone. Damage is low right now on Alpha 2 because it didn't get the pogos. So it gets them in here. Oh, very nice.
So very low on health, but he made it through. Very nice.
Essentially, the way that fight works is there's a long duration which the eye can remain open after the first 3, I think it's first 3 projectiles it shoots at you. And then if you slash it too quickly, it'll actually close and stay closed for that entire duration where it like spawns enemies and does the shockwaves and stuff. So that's unfortunately what happened to DJ, just a little too apt to get that damage in, and unfortunately had to wait as a result.
But yeah, the DJ now basically entering the quote-unquote second half of the game, as we alluded to earlier, because he now has the dash ability. And the dash is, basically the point in the run where it really picks up, because the dash makes it so that we can go blindingly fast, as you can see the DJ now. Just, dash through all these rooms. It's a very nice and comfy ability for our speedrunners, for sure.
See what happens with Dyan here in Alpha 1. Playing it a little bit safe, but totally respectable. You've carried the E field this far. It's better to spend a couple extra seconds on this fight and still save your 25 to 30 than to lose it at this point when you're feeling like you're so good and so close to getting that second skip in.
Yeah, but you cannot underestimate that the E-Field actually does the first Alpha fight a little bit harder, because you actually want to go ahead and parry his projectiles and then, deflect him against him. However, the E-Field can very well block those projectiles, and then your parry, quote-unquote, goes into nothing, and that can just totally throw you off from time to time.
See what happens with the right-hand Orby. Oh,
nice.
Not a chance.
Doesn't chase him. Very good.
Robot Factory here on the left, what you're going to see DJ dealing with is a bunch of these little security defense lasers that essentially call on the angry Super Mario Bros. 3 Sun, as some people have dubbed him, or the Saw, chases you through. There it is, right there. Chases you throughout the entire section until it decides to go away and security deactivates. You've also got these green turrets that pop out of floors, ceilings, walls, etc. And then on top of that, you've got these little purple, I don't even know what you'd call them. Little guys. They pop out of like...
basically.
Yeah, I don't even know. They look like a Mega Man enemy that I know.
I mean, they explode when you touch them and they deal a bunch of damage to you, so I guess it's fair to call them mines or something. I think.
I don't know what I just saw over on Dyan's side. They got a... Oh, DJ, no.
Oh, DJ Dye, no.
They got a feat.
I think they got an achievement as well.
Well, they got a feat, but then like another section of the screen just randomly went dark. Dyan getting both skips as well, so congrats to both runners for nailing both of those. That's great.
I think what happened there is if you block the notifications for transmissions or something, that happens. But yeah, I think he just got a trophy and just didn't show up on the
that
screen
makes
there.
sense.
So he probably started the Alpha 2 fight without having any SP.
Right. Direct PS4.
That is why he got that.
Makes sense.
But yeah, let's see if the DJ actually gets the tunnel cleaner script here. What you're supposed to do is you want to slash him while he basically appears on screen. So while the screen is still flashing white, you can actually go ahead and hit tunnel cleaner. And then you want to go ahead and parry these projectiles that he's firing. Afterwards, you want to parry another big projectile against him. Head him once again, which is when he will summon these enemies that you can hit and then hit back at him. And it seems like he just did that. And that was a pretty fast sound cleaner. And of course, he got another achievement.
Oh no!
Oh no, what did Dyan do?
I've never seen that.
No. That is probably the thing that you can do with the E-field. If you still have it at this point, you can hit that switch that makes the elevator go up while you're still outside the elevator shaft. Switch blocking you out, and then you have to go back into the room to reset that. Oh,
I was just going to comment on the fact that did a great job bringing it forward, and then that happened, and I was like, huh.
Well, I guess now we all know what to avoid in future runs, huh?
DJ taking on the first of 2 knock-knocks.
I mean, let's just say Dyan did that for science.
Yeah, no, that was totally proof of concept.
Yeah.
Alright, no orbiter strats here from DJ. Orbiter strats used by only a very, very small handful of people. On to knock-knock number 2. Much, much worse.
Moving platforms. Don't we all love fighting enemies against moving platforms?
Okay, well, it should still say dead.
I think got the kill.
It should still stay dead, I think. It was exploding.
Fingers crossed.
Nice.
And it's dead. Nice. So while he did lose time, he didn't lose that much time because, you know, the checkpoint was right there and the knock-knock stayed dead. So thank God. You can totally take that death there. Not that you want to take the death, but, you know, it's better than having to do the fight against the knock-knock again because, oh my God, those things can bully you.
And it's definitely better than getting to any of these little turret walls that happen to be right before a lot of checkpoints we're going to see in the near future. Some of them even with checkpoints visible. You don't want to take a
Dyan has a little bit of problem in the robot factory. He just made it through with 1 HP, so he is now also onto tunnel cleaners. So let's have a quick watch over at his side to see how his boss fight goes, while the DJ probably makes it through the toughest section of chapter 7, the bug nest, or the rustfly nest rather. Many a run can go die there against these skeleton heads. But Dyan seems to be on the script for tunnel cleaners so far.
Yeah, got the double bomb pattern, gonna cluster these together. And then send them hopefully in one. Oh no, they didn't get close enough together.
Yeah. Sad times, sad times. But at this point, you're just trying to get through the fight, you know, because you definitely don't want to die here.
Yeah,
only
being
needs
safe.
one more hit.
Respect it.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely respect it.
He made it. Now, that was a close call, definitely.
So DJ picked up the SP dispenser and has unfortunately taken a couple hits already, so it's on its last legs already. Fun fact for those that just hadn't picked up on this before, your sub-weapons, as they get damaged, actually visually change. One that's easy to notice, and there it goes. One that's easy to notice is the swag blade. The swag blade like spins less and like looks more broken down.
Yeah, this one SP dispenser that the DJ just lost, you want to try and hold on to that for dear life, because we are now in the part of the run where SP management gets crucially important if you want to go fast. And also a little bit safe, because the chaining the dashes is going to be really important for getting through most of the sections coming up after Chapter 7, because we will now shortly go into the Dragon Shrine. And what the Dragon Shrine does is he doesn't give us any new abilities like the other shrines did, you know, like the Monkey Shrine and the Eagle Shrine and whatnot, but he empowers all of our other abilities. And what that especially does for the dash is it allows us to chain dash and double jump between the dashes, and that will just make it so that we can go through most of the sections like blindingly fast. However, you do need SP to do that, and if you don't have any SP, well, you are in for a hell of a ride coming up.
Yeah, SP management has been important up until now, but it's not nearly been as crucial as it will be for the remainder of the game. It's worth noting that like all of your abilities do have variance based on whether or not you have SP. How it really impacts the dash attack is your dash attack goes a shorter distance if you don't have SP, but even more so, the impact is that you don't maintain the dash speed after the dash finishes. So when you have SP, you dash and kill an enemy, it always generates SP and it actually flies towards you. Dyan going for the thread the needle strat, very nice. And if you don't have SP, you're not generating any SP off any of those enemy kills, and then the second you basically hit the enemy, you're slowed back to your normal speed, and it really kind of loses a lot of its oomph.
So yeah, the DJ now in Chapter 8, and this is basically where the run, I think, really starts to pick up. Like he will try to chain dashes like going everywhere from here on out. So you know, Link, and you will probably miss him going through a whole screen just by dashing through basically everything from this point onward. So if you've thought the run was going fast so far, well, you are in for a treat going forward.
Yeah, these rooms are like
just look at
scary.
it. Oh, he lost the SP dispenser though, because he got hit by one of the enemies there. So while he still has a nearly full SP bar going forward, he doesn't have it for the next auto-scroller coming up on EXO, the motorcycle you can see in the background there. And what that means is, if you have a SP dispenser normally, when you are just in control of Shadow, it will of course regenerate your SP. However, if you are missing a bit of SP in R on EXO or on any autoscroller, the game cannot recharge your SP because you're basically not in control of Shadow at that point. And what the game decides to do instead is it generates assets for you. So if you have an SP dispenser going into this motorcycle ride, you will actually gain quite a lot of essence going through that, which makes it so that after that section, you have a little bit more essence with which to buy stuff at the checkpoints. So that can be a nice safety cushion going forward. And the DJ is sadly taking a death in the Cypher section over there, so he will have to do that again.
Yeah, there's nothing that's too crucial in terms of getting that extra essence, but it's a big comfort piece. There's going to be a piece coming up where our runners are going to be taken down to 1 health, and a lot of us will generally take a death to restore back to 5 or do a save and quit. If you've got the extra essence, whew, that was close again. If you've got the extra essence, generally you will buy the full health refill there because it's seen as one of the, I guess, best investments for that extra essence. I fully respect the touching the checkpoint to heal there.
Definitely.
But above and beyond that, you know, it gives you a little more wiggle room in terms of perhaps a full SP restore in a section of Chapter 9 or 10 that you find a little bit daunting. There's a couple extra SP dispensers that you can buy throughout the end game. A lot of us prefer to drop 100 essence to full SP and the SP dispenser before the final boss. Depending on your climb and how much SP you come out of that with, for example, because you want to start the first of the final boss fights completely full. But yeah, there's basically there's absolutely no harm that comes out of that extra cushion, and realistically, it just gives you a few more tools in your belt for the end game.
For sure, for sure. Also, I think a little bit of peace of mind, because you can just drop this essence without, destroying your runs, so to speak, at the end there. Making that a little bit less harrowing, especially if you are in a race, if you have that peace of mind going forward.
I'm not going to say I've ever gotten to the last boss with only 49 essence and had to wonder where I was going to find an extra. Never.
And that is basically, it's the little things in this run that you might not pick up on if you've never done a run yourself, or if you're only watching it.
Oh, Dyan.
That can totally screw you over at various points of the run.
I didn't see the autosave icon on the right-hand side, and I hope to God I'm not going to have to find out if that save point was actually touched or not.
Ooh. Well, fingers crossed for the blockade there. But yeah, he got through it. All right.
Yeah, double jumped right over it. There's a lot of leeway on checkpoints in terms of them activating, but you can double jump over them and get enough height that it doesn't activate. And I'm going to maybe watch that back afterwards just to see, out of my own curiosity, whether or not that happened.
I think a lot of runners opt to not explicitly touch the checkpoint in the Rustfly nest in Chapter 7, because what you can do is you can just dash over it to grab one of these platforms up there to save a little bit of time. However, that definitely does not activate the checkpoint. So if you were to die during this whole Rustfly nest section of the game, it will basically send you back to a point before that, which is basically in front of the second knock-knock, if I'm not mistaken.
DJ getting scary here. Went for the strat where you damage boost and then you actually pierce through that wall, clip through that wall, using an enemy. And then didn't get it and was left with one shot away from death. Coming into XO 2 while Dyan's on XO 1.
Mm-hmm. So XO 2 is also a pretty interesting section when you're basically controlling this robot now, because, it turns into a little bit of Contra, I want to say, where you just run left to right, shooting everything in your way. And you're also taking a lot of damage boosts here. However, there are, of course, a few checkpoints along the way where you can refill your health. But basically, it turns into a bit of a, health management simulator at this point. And you've definitely, some people basically remember what Meshia, I think it was, posted to the Discord a little while back, where he got hit by an enemy while he was actually in the transition to another screen and died and got sent back to a checkpoint. And that was just really heartbreaking to see. So you really, don't want to underestimate the damage you can take from these enemies.
DJ successfully attacked aggressively in Contra fashion.
Right on. Also, neat little tidbit that I learned during one of these races last time is you can actually charge Exo's attack in the suit. So not only on the bike, but also when you're controlling the robot, which makes it so that you can do this fight against the dropships even a little bit faster and basically, finish it in a 3 cycle. But yeah, the DJ now slowly coming up onto the end of the Exo sections, while Dyan is now at the end of XO 1, so a little bit of a difference between the runners, but let's see if Dyan is able to catch up. Because, the next part of Chapter 8 coming up might be one of the most brutal parts of the game, I think. But yeah, let's see if Dyan will actually go for the skip here as well. I think... No, he is not. He opted to immediately get rid of these green chasing head enemies on top of the blockade. And also fights it the normal way. A little bit of safety might not be the worst call to do here, as he is starting to get low on health, but still made it over to Exo and the checkpoint very well.
I forget who pointed this out, but I'll point this out on Dyan's side so you folks can notice it now in case you haven't. The small little flames that don't insta-kill you, the ones that actually just do damage, are actually just the tops of the large flames that do insta-kill you. So if you ever see somebody fall into one of the pits of big flames, they'll actually take damage before they instantly get killed because they hit the top layer first. But yeah, somebody mentioned that the little flames on top are just the tops of the big flames. I thought that was kind of neat.
So they are basically adding insult to injury.
Yeah. DJ's in the very daunting room. Gonna take the safety health here. Fully respect that. Goes for a non-activation strat, which is safer and slower, but again, totally respect it. That is probably one of the most dangerous rooms, and if you're trying to get through maintaining that SP dispenser, you're gonna sack the couple seconds for peace of mind. Like, it's totally a no-brainer.
I mean, in PB attempts, you probably want to go for it, but, you know, we are in a race, and DJ is ahead by quite a margin there, so going for a little bit of extra safety is definitely better for him at this point.
Fortunately, bonked on the way down. Did a fast fall through that section just before the checkpoint. Speaking of skipping checkpoints, hands up in chat. Has anyone here accidentally skipped the pre-boat checkpoint in 9? Because I can let you know that one's scary.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I dashed through it because when you dash, you don't activate checkpoints. And I happened to be lined up in the right way that I was on the left-hand side of it, I was on the right-hand side of it, and at no point did it activate.
Oh, God.
The boat suddenly becomes a lot scarier when you know if you die, you get sent back an extra checkpoint.
Speaking of scary, the DJ going for the, well, what do you call it, the low route on that particular room where you dash through an enemy who is like walking on the insta-death spikes and then immediately jumping. Now, let me tell you, if you are not on top of your game and jump just, you know, at the right point there, you will die. So that is definitely not a safety strategy just performed, but it went over very good for him. So, yeah, that was very nicely done over there. Also, can we just take a moment to talk about these purple enemies that were briefly on screen for the DJ, because they can absolutely destroy you. Because as far as I'm aware, they're programmed in a way that they try to anticipate where you're gonna go, and they mostly appear in screens where you have to mostly go upwards, you know, with a lot of vertical movement, and they will try to bonk you out of the air like all over the place and send you right down to the beginning. We can especially see that at the end of the game when we do the climb up the tower, and it's not a fun time.
I inactivated the alarms in that scary room, but it did only take one hit, so still forging ahead with the SP dispenser, which is nice. Chapter 9 feels really short, all things considered. Like, you come out of a whole bunch of other chapters, and I don't even know that it necessarily is, but it's just something about this part of the game is, like, it's just big, wide open rooms where you can just dash, and you can do continual dash attacks, where some of the other, I guess, chapters are a little more winding. I would say maybe a little more vertical. But,
yeah. I think Chapter 9 is like really, you know, a little bit of a breather section, because you just come out of the really, really long Chapter 8, which just keeps dragging on for forever. I think it's without a doubt the longest chapter in the game. And then before Chapter 10, which is basically the end of the game, where, you know, once again, the game takes off all the brakes and throws everything it has at you. So, you know, I think it's a nice little breather just in between those two chapters.
Woo. Diane going under twice as well. Very nice.
And now we are onto the boat ride, so we are nearing the end of the game already for the DJ over there.
That's true. Many pointing out there is no boss in Chapter 9. I guess the closest we have is Combinatrons right at the start of Chapter 10.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think the last boss we fought before that was Tunnel Cleaner, wasn't it? At the end of Chapter 6. So, Chapter 7, 8, and 9 don't have a boss each, if I'm not mistaken.
The boat counts for me.
Counts as a boss.
But boat RNG is the boss of 9. I agree with that statement.
Well, I've certainly never fallen off the boat and insta-died at the end of it.
No.
We have never done that. But yeah, the DJ is slowly getting to the end of the boat ride over there, while Dyn is still making his way through Chapter 9. However, Dyn still has the SP dispenser, or he maybe bought it before going into Chapter 9.
Oh.
I have not paid attention.
Congratulations, it's your first commentator's curse. That SP dispenser dropped immediately that you said it was he still had it.
Gotta keep my mouth shut. God damn it.
That's okay. It's basically a rite of passage.
At least I didn't say anything about the boat, right? I mean, did you get a fast boat or did you get a slow boat?
I didn't even see. I was kind of geeking out about the SP dispenser, so that's where my focus went.
But yeah, that is something that we still don't know why it happens or why it doesn't happen. Like at the end of the boat ride section, you can either immediately go on to Chapter 10 or you have to just stand there at the helm of it and wait for about 10 seconds until it finally releases you into Chapter 10. So that is why we call a fast boat or a slow boat. Of course, you don't want to talk about it, so people, do get the fast boat. Or you just keep on chanting, slow boat, slow boat. I don't know to make it fast, but I probably shouldn't have talked about that before Dyan was through that section as well, right?
DJ with the super ninja feat, which I believe... Oh no, he got the thread the needle, but he hesitated on it. The ninja feat that you just got right there is slash 10 enemies without touching the ground, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, going for the alternate strat here. Parries the bullet. Ooh, very nice. Oh, good. Oh,
nice. Oh, we just got it. Oh my god.
That was scary in about 3 different ways.
Chapter 10 is a lot of bottomless pits and other stuff that instantly kills you if you fall down. However, you do want to use all your dashes, so this is really a harrowing section of the game because you will be in the air for so long and above bottomless pits like the whole time. So one mistake can send you right back a lot of screens. So yeah, it's harrowing, sure. But I think the DJ has got the hang of it now. While we wait for these blast doors to very slowly open.
Fun fact too, there's a lantern in that room with the blast doors. That is a kind of a one-time only lantern reward. So if you happen to hit that along the way and then die and then have to redo that room, you actually have to revise your strat because the same strat won't work. I forget who pointed that out in Discord one day, but they're like, oh my god, it happened, it screwed me up.
I feel a patch incoming. Maybe.
Actually, funny enough, too, like, this is the only other mention, I think, that one enemy, there was one green enemy that got taken out a moment ago in Chapter 10, which impacted people, too.
It did. Yeah. You will basically not see that one, or you basically will see it on Dyan's side, sorry. You won't see it on the DJ, because it got patched out on PC already.
DJ opened the Spider Rail fight with some charged rising fires, which actually go up high enough to hit Spider Rail before he comes down and becomes vulnerable. Sending back the Order of Onion Rings, as per usual. That does a ton of damage. That's basically your ideal way of killing that boss. You can do enough damage beforehand to force that early, but it is a little difficult. Dyan's going to take on Combinatron, hopefully for no healing.
The Combinatron is basically interesting for the fact that he is the only boss in the game that can actually heal himself, and he did exactly that, and that is why Dyan just opted out to straight up quit the game and try that fight again, because you do not want to see Combinatron healing, because it will prolong the fight by quite a bit, and you might as well just restart the fight at that point and try it again to make that go over quicker. Hopefully he will get it the second time. Looking good so far, and... Oh,
I don't know how that's going to shake out. He killed it, but he also died.
I think that happened to me. He should stay dead.
Nice.
Yeah, he does.
All right, well.
Very good, very good.
That could have ended a lot worse.
For sure. I think if he would have just died a little bit sooner there, Dyan that is, he would have to do the fight a third time, and you definitely don't want to do that. But yeah, the DJ now in the climb, where you have to go up this very long tower for multiple screens with all these enemies around there, and he's actually already at the end of it, so he is into the final boss fights of the game.
I'm trying to rack my brain wondering what DJ's PB is right now, because pretty solid time so far. Coming into this final fight, sub 58 minutes. I'm going to be keen to see this finish.
Depending on how these fights go for him, this might actually be a PB for him, yes. Let me just quickly check the leaderboards. If that is correct. So his PB was a 1 hour, 1 minute, and 51 seconds. So yeah, he is, or he could rather PB this. So let's not jinx it, probably, by talking about it.
You already stole Operator's lunch money.
Good start.
Alright, going for parry strats.
Getting a bit bullied there, though.
Yeah, unfortunately lost the SP dispenser. 4 health, going to be able to refill a little bit. Has the health to make this work. Wants to be a little bit careful, opting to take out both the blue and the purple-pink pod, whatever you want to call it. Blue one is going to protect us in this fight, so it's going to provide a shield for these flame attacks that are going to start coming down. Other than that, the pink one is going to provide a little crescent-style attack that you can also fire upwards. I still remember this game was totally new and like we hadn't figured out that you can fire that upwards. But using the right pod to bounce off of here, looking promising. Very nice.
All right, there we go. Yeah, casually you are supposed to break open those 3 glowing orbs that are centered around Progenitor. And the third one that he didn't break open is the green one. What that does, it will periodically provide you with platforms which you can use to actually go ahead and reach the boss to hit him. But with our strats, we can just, opt out of that and actually use the glowing orb as a bounce pad to go ahead and reach the boss. So pre-Gs for the DJ, because he is not quite finished yet. Still has a little bit left of the game to do here before we can call GG's, while Dyan is in the fight against Spider Rail over there. Getting a bit bullied, but he's actually really low on health there, so watch out for the honor rings, but he made it and defeated Spider Rail as well.
He didn't send them back, but he just set a hard pass. Decided to go around them.
The ultimate disrespect, not even, honoring the honor rings at all. Right, one last trick that the DJ can do when we will go full Super Saiyan over there, trolling all yellow and whatnot. You can actually use an airstrike exactly to get out of that animation a little bit faster, and the DJ actually did it. So we now have to hit all these switches at the sides. Very nice. Yeah, this might be a PB for him.
Assuming we didn't desync too much with the feed there, I'm going to check the official race room time with a 1 hour, 32 seconds. That is a PB for DJ.
Nicely done. GG's for the DJ. Dying having a little bit of trouble doing the climb over there, but he is now also in the last section of the tower. So, looking pretty good on his side though. So far getting all the cycles, and he is now too at the last checkpoint. He has way more than enough essence to buy both the SP refill and the dispenser, and he is on to the final boss gauntlet as well. So let's see how these fights will go for him. Not getting a lot of dashes at the start of the apparator fight, so this will probably be a little bit slower than we saw the DJ do it. Using one too many dashes there, getting in front of apparator and getting hit by his projectiles, losing another point or health point at the SP dispenser. And having to go for a third cycle, I think, of apparator here, but there he goes down as well. Now he still has the SP dispenser going into the progenitor fight, so let's see what strategy he opts to do there.
Yeah, Dyan may also be on PB pace as well. It's been a little while since I've peeked. I feel like Dyan's got I want to say a 108? Maybe 105?
Yes, it's a 108.59.
Oh, love it.
So both runners on very good pace here. Now Dyan too lost the SP dispenser going into the very last fight of the game.
Health looking good though.
Okay, he too breaks out both the blue and the red orbs.
I think we've already had 2 runners go out of this tournament on PB runs, by the way. So, I mean, it's always hard to feel bad for, yeah, I lost the race, but I PB'd, so I literally could not have done any better.
But yeah, using the third orb to the right there as a bit of a pogo pad to go ahead and hit the boss. Another fun fact that you might have done casually is when you have the, flame attack from the red orb, you can actually go ahead and get rid of these spikes that the boss shoots along the ground that you cannot get normally rid of.
Nice finish.
Alright, 3 Gs for dying there. Yeah, that looks like a solid, 4-minute PB at least for him. So that is very great to see during this race.
Alrighty, as Diane's finishing up, we are joined here by the DJ, our winner today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we have to say, of course, big congrats on your PB. That was awesome. We always love to see a PB in a race.
Yeah, that was a really, really good run. I was not expecting like this being this fast.
And funny enough, it's looking like it's going to be a double PB race because Diane's just finishing up now, and Diane's going to PB by a few minutes. So like,
yeah, he's like a 108 right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Looking like it's probably going to come in as a 105. So both of you did phenomenal. You're of course going to be advancing on. You're going to be taking on Minnie in the next round. So congratulations on your win. How did you kind of feel about the race start to finish? Was there anything that you felt went really well? Was there anything that you weren't happy with in the context of the run?
No, this was like a really good run. I just, aside from like a few deaths, this was pretty like as good
and
as
GG's for dying.
GG. But just barely a 104.
Yeah, it's looking like a race time of 104.58, which I know it's a little bit different on our side because he's direct from PS4, so you guys weren't exactly.
So that's a solid 4-minute PB.
Yeah.
For him, so very well done.
Gonna put out the invite to pop in for a word too. Looks like Diane's just going to take a moment. So yeah, that was absolutely phenomenal. You can't ask for anything better than that out of a race where both runners PB.
Yeah, for sure.
So DJ, what are you thinking your next match is up against Minnie, which we know Minnie has got some speed shoes on. Any way you slice it, this is going to be a great takeaway for you, in my opinion, and I hope you feel the same way about the tournament experience. Are you going to rest up over the next week? Are you going to train hard and come out full force? What's going to be kind of your strategy going into the next one?
Well, I definitely have to practice a lot more if I want to have a chance against Minnie. So I'm definitely not going to rest.
And when you think about the game as a whole, do you kind of have like do you have an end goal right now? Is it really just push the game and the time down until it feels good? Or do you have kind of like a benchmark that you're looking to hit?
I mean, I think the sub 1 is of course really close, so that's one I'm looking to get. After that, I'm not sure. I definitely am not tired of this game. I do want to play more.
That's what I like to hear. It can brutalize the best of us, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll have to look for a new goal once I have reached the sub 1.
Nice. And we're now joined by Diane as well. Big GGs and congratulations on your monstrous PB.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that dogs happened, but I was so relieved I finally fell in space and I looked at my time. It was like, what?
Yeah, we were pretty excited. You were coming into the end game and we're like, wait a minute. We're like, this is looking pretty low. And, we were just saying that both of you guys actually PB'd. DJ PB'd as well in this race. So
I know.
you can't ask for a better race when both runners come out of it with better times than they've ever posted before.
I have like a high 108, and now I'm sub 105. And it's really unfortunate dogs happened. I saw it happen. I actually went back to grab safety health because I knew I would get in trouble. And still, but you know, it's all fair. I have 4 devs. I have a perfect clear time of 1 IGT. I PB'd in race. I can't ask for more. I unleashed all the stress, and yeah, I'm really happy. Even for DJ, I knew it would be a really tough hill to beat, but damn, man, did you PB just like a minute? That's amazing.
Yeah, 119.
Oh wow. So close to sub hour, man.
Yeah, I'm like
you can
30
almost taste it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mentioned this earlier as well. We've had 2 other racers that left this tournament with PBs. So like, you're unfortunately going to be leaving us from the player rank today. Of course, that doesn't mean you can't join us later for a commentary for future races. And I know you're always hanging around, and we appreciate and love that. But I have to imagine that you're gonna walk away from today feeling like a huge W, because like a multi-minute PB is one thing, but a multi-minute PB as you're creeping on the hour and in a race setting is just like, dust off those hands, like go treat yourself, do whatever you need to do, because that's the best way to exit a tournament.
I'm gonna be really honest with everyone here. I the only time I had practice was like yesterday, and it was during the 4-hour practice, and I burnt my hand through, and then it had me worried today. Like was very scared to perform.
Well, I would say that practice definitely
clicked.
paid off today.
Everything clicked. I got away so many times where I should have been, or I shouldn't have been alive. I was like, how am I surviving this? And then the other part, like half a second later, my mind was like, don't complain, keep going. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, no, okay, I'll stop. I'm just gushing right now.
No, that's great. I love hearing the excitement, because this is what the tournament's all about, right? At the end of the day, like, we all have fun racing, we all have fun competing, but like, this is the core of what makes the community awesome. I hit up everyone, of course, with the runners links in chat as per usual. Make sure to go follow everyone. We've got another match coming up on June 5th. That is going to be 2C Plus versus Space Narc, and that's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Atlantic. So please don't miss that one as well. And as per usual,
don't miss that out.
Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for participating, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, same to you.